I am going to be a candidate for re-election, and the reason that I am going to be a candidate is several-fold. Number one, if you would look right over there, you'll see the Western Interstate Highway connectivity. That is a project that we're working on to 4-lane 97. And it is how that connects in the western United States and what it actually does. It gives us two parallel routes. That is a project that I'm working on and really want to work on that project. There's the project of secured rural schools. It looks like we're getting some traction in Congress to maybe come up with a permanent solution. And it is loosely based on the ONC proposal. But I really believe that we have a small window of opportunity to get this through. And hopefully we can get that through and get us off of this goal of the federal government. I would like to see us put people back into the woods, have them work. That's what this plan does, and it is based on actually managing the forest and creating some income. So that's another one. I also believe that this is a time that you need some studying forces at hand. With budgets and the sheriff's proposal and how we go about doing that and where that goes. Again, if secured rural schools was, if we could correct that and make it permanent based on timber production, that goes a long way in solving the sheriff's problem also. So that's huge for us. And finally, I just think that as you look at the stuff that we have on our plate, we need to continue to work for getting a stable supply of water for our farmers. It's a $300 million business. We need that. In fact, at one time we said it's $300 million and 4,000 employees. If you put those all in one building, you would all of a sudden have a whole lot more idea of what we're really talking about with agriculture. So I think with those four items, those are things that absolutely need to get done. I do sit on some statewide transportation commissions, also sit on the ODOT directors policy group, so that puts me right where I need to be for the Highway 97 discussion. I'm also on the executive committee of the ONC Timber Counties now, and that has put me right at the table. And in fact, this last week I met with the executive committee, and we met with Congressman DeFazio. So that's putting us right where we need to be at the table to get things done and to effect change.
You were the target of an unsuccessful recall. How do you think that'll play out in your re-election campaign? Not a factor, a major factor? How would you characterize it?
Well, it was unsuccessful, so I think that's part of your answer. I don't believe it's a major thing. The people that were running that, they have their own opinions. I would love to get out and debate them as far as financing of the sheriff, because I can tell you for a fact that we did have a plan, and we did try to get it through, and it would have saved our taxpayers money. And we weren't able to be successful, but I still think we made the try. So I don't think it's a factor.
Al, how long has it taken you? I know you've served on the ONC with the ONC counties for quite a while. How long has it taken you to get to the position that you currently hold on the executive committee?
Oh, it's taken about 10 years. We're not one of the largest ONC counties, and so the big guys kind of are the controlling factor there. But I've developed a certain amount of expertise over the years, and I think I've been on that board for quite some time. And this is it's the second time I've been elevated. Once before we had the Vice President Association went off and was off for a couple of years. He was sick, and I stepped up and took the treasurer's job. This time we had a permanent opening, and the treasurer stepped up, and I took the treasurer's job. So I'll stand for re-election on that job in December. The ONC is an odd organization. They elect all their officers and all their board every year. Every year they elect everybody. I mean, so you stand for election every year on that.
Klamath Basin restoration agreements and the proposed removal of 4 dams on the Klamath, your position and how big of a factor is that, those 2 issues in this re-election campaign?
Oh, I think they'll be a big factor. My position is, and has been, and I've actually stated, in fact it's in the congressional record, that I'm opposed to taking dams out. I don't see the sense in doing that. But I am for the KBRA because we have got to stabilize this water. If that ends up being what gets our farmers water, then so be it. But just to look at taking dams out for the sake of taking dams out, I question that. But I will say this: if you are a proponent of private property rights, and I am, that is private. Those are private property. They're owned by Pacific Power. So it's pretty hard for you to say I'm for private property rights on one side and then say, well, you can't take your dams out. What I would say is that if you really wanted to correct that problem, what you should do is you should go back to Congress and start working through Congress to get the relicensing so that it can be done. Right now, the way relicensing is, you spend years and years and millions of dollars and you don't get a relicense. And that's what Pacific Power did. They got into that. And the other thing I think people kind of forget sometimes is that when it's whether it's relicensing or taking them out or putting fish ladders in or whatever, it's being paid for by the ratepayer.
What can be done to sort of bring that industry together and make it stronger?
To bring it together is going to be a problem because they are very fractured right now. And I unfortunately have friends on both sides of that issue. The fact remains, if we don't have water, we don't have ag. Just that simple. And I know I've heard people say, well, the KBRA doesn't give a guarantee of water. What the KBRA does is give a block of water that is available to ag, and it goes to ag first, and then environmental second. But there's no guarantee on that water because you cannot guarantee it if you have a drought, and that's a simple fact of it. So if you say, well, you don't have a guarantee, then in essence that's true, because when in drought conditions there is no water. It wouldn't make any difference if you had a guarantee or not. You just wouldn't have it. So I think what we need to do is somehow or another start getting this community to come back together and start working for a common goal. The common goal should be save ag. That should be the common goal. If you want to see the wrong way of going about it, look what happened to the timber industry. Timber industry's pretty much gone. I happen to be one of the people that think timber industry can come back, and that's why I'm really excited about this ONC proposal, because it actually could work in the U.S. Forest lands, Forest Service lands also. So it could be a model for the whole United States. And I think that's what we need to do. We need to look at our resources and utilize them as the best we can. And no one's saying go in there and clear cut the whole entire forest. That's not what they're saying. There would be set-asides. There would be some managed LSR lands, late succession reserve lands. There would be all of that. But there would be some lands that would be strictly set aside for production, just like the ONC lands are set aside. And I really think that's the angle on there. On agriculture, I think back years ago when they had a National Farmers Organization, which was a kind of a union for farmers. And I was thinking to myself, it's not a bad idea. Maybe you get together, you can market your crops, you have the unity of a group. Didn't fly. Farmers are very independent, didn't like that idea. And so they would they're much more apt to market, themselves out and let the market dictate. So I think that creates some problems because they're very individual. But I think that's the reason that people like that, because they can be an individual. So Joe, I'm not sure how that we get them all together now. This has been such a divisive thing, but quite frankly, if we could have water for the farmers, I'm not married to keeping the dams. But I want water for the farmers.
Were any factors, I mean, weighing for or against you, I mean, how hard was it, a decision to run again? Was there anything that you were considering that maybe would have swayed you to not run? I mean, whether it's family or any other thing?
Yeah, other than my wife? Well, I'm in my 4th term, so this would be my 5th term. And I can tell you for a fact, and I think you guys have been in the media long enough that you'll understand this. 15 years ago, when I first ran, politics was a little bit more civil. And in the ensuing 15 years, I've noticed it not to be. And I've noticed it to be more personal, and the attacks to be harder. And, and I'm not taking a shot here at the media, but when the media just tears into us, it's our community, it's our families live here. My parents live here. I mean, it's not just, it's not like, well, that commissioner, it's you personally. So that, that did weigh into it a little bit, because you want to go through that again. But I really believe the 4 things that I laid out to you to start with are so critical, and we're positioned so well to get some of that done now. That's what drove me to say, yeah, I want to get those done.
How much do you think you'll need to raise for your campaign? And the second part of that question, you willing to engage in debates with however many opponents come forward?
Well, the first part I don't know. I don't know what. I've never had to raise huge amounts of money, so that would be something new for me. The second part, I would love to do debates. And the reason, and I say that in that we do forums, and they're running about debates. And I would love to see someone step up, the chamber or whoever, and just step up and say, okay, we're going to have a regular debate. And let's really debate the issues. I would do it anytime, any place, anywhere, because I just think it's a great way to get your message out and let people see the difference in the candidates. But we haven't traditionally had debates around here, and I've questioned that several times. And I'd like to see debates, so yeah, I would love to see it. Well, I've never done debates because I wasn't running last year, but I'd love to do it. I mean, first of all, I like the format because the canned question, they're okay, but if you get a chance to rebut and then come back again, I mean, I think that's part of America. I mean, stand up and tell people what you're thinking, why you think it.
Is there anything strategic behind the timing of your announcement? This is compared to when I look at campaigns in the past, this is pretty early.
I don't know if it's a strategic, Joe. I have traditionally in my races gone the very first day and put my name out. I didn't do it this time because of some situations that I really wanted to kind of get a feel for. A little different too because politics has gotten very nasty over the last few years, and so you really have to decide if that's what you want to do. I also took some time this time and looked at the issues, decided to try to figure out, can I really be a positive influence on those issues? And I really think I can, so that's why I did it. I also had to, quite frankly, convince my wife that we should do this game because this is a partnership. And anybody who doesn't think it's a partnership, they haven't been in politics. I mean, it's, the spouse just lives and dies it. And there's times that I just told her not to read the paper and she'd be better off, But, and not picking on the paper, but I mean, I just, there's things that are written in there. And, we get the letters to the editor, that kind of stuff, and you read it. But I really think what actually made me go this early was that people just kept calling, and I thought, okay, if there's people out there that are really looking to run, then I should owe them to let them know, because quite frankly, if you're going to run for an elected office, and you have your choice of running in an open seat and one that actually has an incumbent in it, generally you'll pick the open seat. That's the best, kind of the best odds you have.
Well, and since you mentioned that your position already has two other candidates that have filed for it, John Gary and Dennis Jeffcoat. Are you anticipating any more? Is any of those phone calls?
Tom Ballins?
Well, Tom Ballins is out there. I don't know, who's going to run against. Yeah, there's two or three other names out there. Whether they materialize or not, I don't know. I mean, it's as I said, if you're looking at running in an open seat, that's one thing. If you're looking at running against the incumbent, that's another thing. Although I will tell you this, I don't know that being the incumbent in this political climate is, I don't know if that's all that good or not. Used to be, it was great. I have run races where I had 5 opponents. I've run races when I didn't have any. Those are the better ones. those are a whole lot easier.
Do you think the public, I mean, because on one hand there's the issue of, in general across the country, sort of the anti-incumbency kind of zeal. Do you think, can you convince the voting public that, your experience, your tenure, your seat on the ONC is worth, kind of looking past that? Is that going to be a challenge to convince voters of that?
I think it's always a challenge, Elon. You've got to tell them why they should elect you. And generally speaking, if you look at an incumbent, unless they've gone out and done something really bad, generally an incumbent has made some contacts, has a record. And I think you look at the incumbent's record and say, I like that record, or I don't like that record. So it can be a two-edged sword, but I think generally it's pretty good. This year it's going to be a little different, I think, because of the national situation. And it flows down, comes down to us. We've always kind of said, they hate the national politics, but the local's the only one they can get to.
Yeah.
So, it's the one they'll go to. But, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But, I think I have a good reputation. I think people who know me can trust what I say, and so I'm good with that.
Any feel for, or I should say, do you get a sense from your opponents that have filed so far as to what the tone of the campaign is likely to be? Do you think it'll be a healthy campaign, or?
I honestly don't know. I know the two individuals. I don't think it's going to be a mudslinging campaign. It's certainly not going to be on my side, but I don't know. I hope. My hope is that we can discuss the issues. I'm sure we'll have disagreements on which way we should go on some of them, and that's healthy, and I think that's what we need to do. If we start getting real personal and start name calling and we shouldn't be doing that.